the VHS vault. I am VHS Jace. This is Jason Roy Gaston. And I'm kind of a bit excited tonight, Jason, because as you are displaying rightfully so, we are on the start of our Superman retrospective.
Indeed,
which I'm really excited about. And we are starting with, of course, the 1978 Superman, the movie.
Yes, the legendary Superman, the movie.
Yeah, look, I would say that is one of the two most definitive movies in my life, as it made the most amount of impact. Star Wars, the first one, because I'm that old, and the second one is Superman the movie.
I'm not a fan.
And this is why tonight's going to be fun, guys. Yes, you're not a fan.
I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I love Superman. I love Christopher Reeves. I just don't think this movie was all that in a ham sandwich. It was just not. It was not what I would call. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I would also not say that it is great either. I will get into that here in just a minute. Please get your angry comment fingers warmed up because you gonna hate me today.
Well, for me, I obviously have a very opposite view. I think
this
movie sits in the same closet as Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, Singing in the Rain. I think this is a piece of American cinema. It's like a Norman Rockwell painting come to life. This thing, although not perfect, and there are two major flaws in this movie, which we'll probably agree upon when we get to them. But essentially, to me, this film is kind of classic Hollywood in many ways. And again, I'm not actually disagreeing with it. There might be a couple of things, but it is. It is very much like the pinnacle and the end of classic Hollywood. And honestly, one of the main things I think I love about this film today and watching it the other day is it's three different movies. And I think I really kind of love that. But we'll get into that more. But yeah, to me, I have a very strong, and of course, I'm probably biased. I was 5 when this movie came out. You sit a little 5-year-old fat kid in a chair with a big bucket of popcorn in front of Superman the movie, it's going to make an impact. And it absolutely did for me.
Well, I had somewhat of a different experience. I was way too young to see Superman the movie in theaters. I believe I was 3 when it came out. And I was not yet out of diapers at that point. I didn't get out of diapers until I was like 9. But my first experience with Superman in motion picture form was actually Superman 2. And I fell in love with Superman after that movie. I absolutely did. And whenever I was younger, I deduced that there was a Superman 1. And of course, the clip show at the beginning of 2 was just like, oh, cool, it's Superman's origin. I want to see this. And I don't remember when I first saw Superman the movie. I think it was on cable, or it was the movie of the week, or it was on TBS. I don't remember. But I remember watching it as a child and thinking, wow, this is boring. And I really haven't watched it since, and I thought, you know what? Maybe time has made me a little bit more mature. Maybe I just didn't appreciate the nuance of this movie, and I will now that I have become more seasoned and experienced. So I watched Superman the movie for the first time in, 30, 40 years, and my thought was, wow, this movie is boring.
I couldn't disagree with you more. I actually think even the slow parts, I'm locked into. Those John Ford giant shots in Kansas and Glenn Ford as well playing. I thought those sequences were so poetic. I loved them. Even watching it now, going, I'm getting a big kick out of this. And to me, that's the most boring part for most people is the opening.
I don't hate anything in this movie. I really don't.
Well,
I
think,
just think
honestly,
that
dude,
it is glacially paced,
mm,
and I really put it more towards the fact that this was the first attempt at serious superhero drama. And I'm not going to sit there and slap it and say, yeah, this movie sucks. I'm just saying I don't think that it has aged very well, considering everything that's come after. And I do believe
let's
I am
relook at
still
that number
talking.
4.
Excuse me.
Number
I am
4 will come
talking.
back.
I am talking. Excuse me. Uh, I just think that I just think it's pacing, and I think that quite honestly, there's still a few places where you see Silver Age goofiness trying to be presented in a serious Hollywood style that just does not translate. I'm very sorry to say, Gene Hackman is not a good Lex Luthor. He's not. He would be a good Lex Luthor if they had done a Superman TV show in the vein of Batman 60, what was it, 1967, whatever that was. He would have been great in a TV show like that, but here it just doesn't work. Superman is taken seriously. Lois Lane is taken seriously. They are given sophistication and layers, and all Lex Luthor is land, blah, 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 land evil. Blah, blah, blah. That's all he is during the entire movie. That's his character, is land, blah, blah, mastermind criminal. Blah, blah. That's it. Shave your damn head, Hackman. Shave your damn head.
It was a great reveal at the end. Now, I've just been thinking as you were talking, because I wasn't listening.
I know you weren't listening. I wouldn't listen to me either, so it's fine.
Look, at the end of the day, I think there's a fundamental core reason I don't think you like this much. And you revealed it by saying you saw the second one first. And you got to remember, back when they were making this, it was 2 films shot back to back.
Yes.
And this was the crescendo. Well, what it was leading up to was number 2. So, like, you got to build up to it, right? You got to build up to it.
Sometimes you do have to build up to your number 2, yes.
Absolutely. The other thing is about the script, right? Did you know originally, written by Mario Puzo, it was a 500-page script. So, remember, it's a minute a page. So, it's 500-minute script.
Thank you for doing the math for me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I just wanted to make sure, because you are a US teacher.
I am slow, but I do catch up.
Yeah. And then they gave it to a Bond writer called Tom Mankiewicz, who cut out a lot of the campiness. Because apparently there was a scene, and anyone who's seen the making of knows this, that there was a scene where Kojak shows up, who loves you, baby type of scene in the original script.
Did you say Kojak?
Yeah, and he was
okay. I thought you said Bojack. At first, I was just wondering, what does a depressed horse have to do with Superman?
No, it's a depressed bald man telling some hours. No, it was a lot more campy than it ended up being. I think you are trying to find a balance. This movie has massive tonal shifts, ginormous tonal shifts that I think kind of pull off kind of well. I said it's 3 movies, in a way it's 4, because that whole sequence of Krypton in the beginning, and look, a modern day audience, I'd cut the shit out of that scene. Excuse the language, but I would chop that right down.
And by shit, I'm assuming that you mean Marlon Brando's performance.
No, actually,
I don't care if he's legendary. He was absent during this movie. He was absent. He didn't care.
Still, some of his line readings are iconic in my mind.
Are they, though?
Are they?
My son, I am going to put you in this thing and send you to Earth. And I'm going to read my lines off of your diaper, my son. Look at that. Oh no, you peed and it ruined the script. I'll be in my trailer. Give me another $5 million.
$3.7 million to be exact is what he was paid for 12 days' work on this film.
Okay. When even Christopher Reeves says, I was not impressed by his performance, sorry, Brando phoned it in in this movie. He was at a point in his life where he was a very lazy actor. And you can see it here. A very lazy actor.
Yeah. But thanks to him, the film got greenlit. You remember when they were trying to pitch this film to get people to finance, because no one's going to finance a superhero movie back in 1974, because that's when they started looking for financing. And it was the fact that they were able to sell that they had Marlon Brando and Gene Hackman in the movie. They didn't even cast Superman at that point. But that's what they went to sell.
As much as I kind of clowned on Gene Hackman was at least there. He took what he was given and he ran with it. He was having the time of his life. Marlon Brando didn't want to be there. At least that's what it looked like.
Even
he didn't want to be there.
Some of his line readings, Jason, are just wonderful.
Are they though? Are they though? I'm sorry. Call him no. Call him Bor-El, okay? Bor-El, boring. The planet exploded because they were tired of hearing him. Just get it over with. Let's just blow up the whole planet.
Oh no, the planet is going to blow up.
The only good thing that we got out of Marlon Brando's performance was that bit in Megamind. That's it.
I disagree. I absolutely disagree.
I disagree with your disagreement, and therefore it's canceled out.
For being in the film. Thank you, Marlon Brando. No, look, honestly.
Learn your lines, Brando. Learn your lines.
No, he had been doing that for years. I think he almost
Don't care.
The earwig.
Don't care. You know what? Learn your lines. Quit being a lazy actor.
That was true, though. He was one of the first who would put a thing in his ear, and they would just say the lines to him. Yeah, he was one of the first actors that started.
Yeah, you have heard the legend from the set of The Island of Dr. Moreau, right? Where he had the bud in his ear and something broke into the frequency, and so it was like,
I have invented this island, and it's full of half man, half animals. There is a sale at Penny's on aisle 4, all 7-Up or 50% off. And he didn't care because he's lazy. He didn't care. I know he's a legendary actor, but y'all, he didn't care.
And I'm not here to question his moral judgment.
Because you can't.
I can't. I'm not even here to defend him. But I'm telling you, the line readings of Superman are good. They are good. They are effective. They establish what they need to establish. And that is almost like Superman's Jesus, you need God. And at that time, he's representing God.
Well, I can see that because I did turn to religion during his performance because at one point I said, Jesus Christ, this is terrible.
Okay, let's swap okay, fine. let's turn on 180 then.
Okay.
I dare you to question Christopher Reeve's performance in this, who is, to me, at this point, still the greatest performance of Clark Kent and Superman that has been.
I don't think that Christopher Reeves was very good, is what I would say if I was a complete idiot. Because Christopher Reeves was amazing. I just wanted to see your reaction. No, I completely agree. Christopher Reeves, with all due respect to Henry Cavill and Tyler Hoechlin and everyone who has played the part, with the exception of Dean Cain because he sucks, I think that Christopher Reeve set the bar that has yet to be reached. And you want to talk about a legendary performance. This is it. What other man could say the words, I like pink very much, Lois, and make it sound Boy Scouty, earnest and wonderful and not creepy and gross? Christopher Reeves did it. Look, everybody, my cat is here. Say hi to Mona. Hello.
The thing is with Christopher Reeve is the fact he's got this duality that he's got to play, and he's got to keep it separate. The fact that he's such a great comedic actor, I think, is the thing that he's not lauded enough for in this movie.
He's not. Watch Noises Off. Watch Noises Off. It's amazing, and he's hilarious.
And especially in this film, his ability to play the bumbling fool, to do a lot of slapstick kind of stuff is it's phenomenal, And there are little things he does with his body that are hilarious. When he's just trying to get out of the way, or he's just at the back trying to put his hand up. Just perfect. And then when he plays Superman, like, he literally embodies the spirit of that character in a universal way that feels like it was ripped straight out of he's regal, he's respectful, he represents what the rest of the world hoped America would be. But
yes. Sorry, everyone. We tried. I'm so sorry.
We wanted Superman, but we end up with Booster Gold, basically.
Oh, no, you ended up with Homelander, and I apologize. I apologize on behalf of my entire misguided country right now. No, I could not say enough positive things about Christopher Reeve. Not only was he the best Superman ever, and it's going to be... I honestly could not see anybody trailblazing a path like he did with this character. Although I'm not going to say I'm not going to give David Cornsweet a chance, because who knows? David Cornsweet might be amazing. But Christopher Reeve, he looked the part. He was the part. I cannot imagine anyone taking a look at a Superman comic these days and not hearing Christopher Reeve's voice coming out of those panels, because he is Superman. And not only that, the life that he led afterwards, the things that he did in the face of tremendous tragedy and unfathomable odds, the fact that man kept going and kept inspiring people and kept working and kept lifting other people up. Not only was he the best Superman on screen, he was the best Superman off screen. And I just feel like the world was better with this man in it.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely agree about Christopher Reeve. Now, to have a great Superman and Clark Kent's one thing, but if you're going to do Superman, you're really going to have a great Lois Lane, like, to opposite. Now, although Christopher Reeve had a very positive journey after Superman, unfortunately, Margot Kidder did not have had a very complex journey throughout her life. But she is, just like he's the best Clark Kent and the best Superman. I'm sorry, she's the best Lois Lane we've got.
She is, hands down, smoking and everything. Which I know that's very no today, but I don't know. Every time I read a Superman comic and Lois is in a panel, it's Margot Kidder's voice coming out, because she was Lois, and in my mind, she always will be. And we've had some darn good Loises too. Some darn good Loises.
Amazing actress playing Lois Lane. A big fan of Rachel Bronson. I like doing that. Whatever that show was, my wife made me watch it. She was a stand-up comedian. Miss Maisel.
The Marvelous Miss Maisel. Yeah.
Yeah, and she was fantastic in that. I think she's got the right energy. But there was something about Margot Kidder's performance. She's manic, but she's in control. She's bossy, but she's vulnerable. She's all these multifaceted things. I just think, except for the scene when she's in You Read My Mind, this is almost pitch perfect kind of performance.
I agree on both counts. The How Do You Read My Mind bit was, oh my gosh. Everything in my body just shriveled and retracted whenever that part came on. But I will say, in the hands of a lesser actor, this part would have been awful. It would have been, because just as you said, because this character is basically everywhere. Yep. She is confident and not confident at the same time. She is unshakable and yet shaken. She is professional, and yet she wants a little something of the red undies, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Margot Kidder nailed it in every scene, and I have a feeling that the How Can You Read My Mind song, I have a feeling that she was really against that, because I just didn't feel I did not feel that she was into that. She's just at a microphone going, "Can you read my mind? Do you know what it is you do to me?"
I think it's fair to say that we're not professionally paid editors, but we're editors. We edit quite a lot. I do it professionally. I have my own business, video editing. that in 2025, from a couple of editors' point of view, that scene you could have cut about halfway through it, and it being more effective than what they showed. So, and
the Superman Returns love flight was better.
Yeah.
Hate me. You know it's true. Hate me. It's fine.
Yeah.
I will accept your apology when you realize you're wrong.
I think in that moment you could argue it, but I think in context of that whole scene of him landing on the roof and their little back and forward, going for the flight and then coming down and having that back and forward again. Yeah, even that really hurt in the middle of that scene, it's still a very strong scene in my mind.
Yep, I agree. But we'll talk about Superman Returns in a few weeks. We're talking about Superman, the movie.
Okay, the origin of... Okay, so we've gotten Krypton bit. What did you think of the whole Kansas stuff? Does that still work for you?
I mean, it's okay. It kind of feels like everything in Kansas was obligatory. Like, we have to do this. None of it, to me, really affected anything else in the picture. And I say that with the full knowledge something should have, in my opinion. And that is the death of Pa Kent. Because he says, even with all my powers, I couldn't save him. And he's in that exact same situation at the end of the movie. And I feel like I don't know what kind of ending I would have preferred, but I just feel like spinning the earth backwards and bringing somebody back shows that Superman didn't learn that lesson.
Yeah.
He didn't.
In my defense of that scene, right, the only note, it sucks, right? I'll admit it. It sucks. The whole idea of the whole basic science of it's ridiculous anyway, and the kind of, what's it called when they reset something? It just perfectly reset. There's a term for it.
No, it's not cool.
It's not cool. No. It's
no.
Yeah, where they kind of just reset. What's it called? There's a name for it. Anyway.
The reset button.
Yeah, say the reset button.
Yeah, he made us. He went back to his previous pawn point.
Well, we all know that wasn't initially the plan, and things got moved around because they sacked the director halfway through filming both of them. That wasn't the initial ending, but I can't believe they actually thought that was acceptable back then myself. So that is the other issue I have with it. However, there are scenes in classic films, and I'm just backing myself up here, that I've seen that I can't stand. Yeah, I still, for the sum of all parts, hold that film to high esteem. And so it only gets a pass because I love so much else of it. But even when I was growing up, dude, I would turn it off after he gets angry and flies off. I would just then, well, maybe not turn it off, but I'll be distracted and off I go. So, and there are tonal shifts. So the Kansas thing's very slow, right? And then we get it goes to snow, which I was watching it this time going, is the crystal talking to him? Is the crystal navigating him? Like, what's going on? Like, it's very vague in that sense too. He finds a crystal in the barn, which wasn't very well hidden. And then, like, he knows where to throw it. He knows where to go. Like, it's never really kind of, like, even a basic explanation of that would be, But the Fortress of Solitude being made, that Fortress of Solitude is awesome. That's why it looks like they're using the same design in the new movie too.
Okay, yeah, the fortress itself is cool, but everything that happened there was not. And I'm sorry, it was not. That was
except for the crystal panel.
That was cool, I guess, but
to be able to stick a green crystal in a clear crystal, it never happened.
That was fine, I guess, but I don't know, the whole bit where he's being taught by Jor-El.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at one point he says, "You've been here now for 2 years, and now we're going to talk about the human heart." I'm just like, has Clark called his mom? Or does she think he's dead? It's like, hey, I'm hanging out here with my dad. No, my real dad. Yeah, I've reconnected with my parents. I'm not going to talk to you again for 2 years. Bye.
I mean, you can't help noticing 70s filmmaking in this film. And that sequence is very much a 70s psychedelic kind of sci-fi explanation on it. You wouldn't do it like that today.
No.
But, you know, as soon as that scene is finished, this is when one of the big tonal shifts happen. And one of the bits that I love is we get to see Ned Beatty, who I love in this as well.
Ned Beatty was great.
Yeah, and we get to see him walking through it's Grand Central Station, I think he's in. And we get to follow that journey. And it just, everything changes. You've got these wide scopes to this big, tall, city. And I think the film becomes, it is in its strongest in this act. The film doesn't work unless the second act works. And I think they do the second act really well in this film.
You gotta really hand it to Metropolis. They have the dumbest cops in the world. Because, come on, they know where the cop was murdered. They know where he was pushed out in front of the train. They know that's where Lex Luthor's secret hideout probably is. Nothing. But they're just like, yeah, it's too scary down here.
I'm not making
I want donut.
We wouldn't accept that in a movie today. We wouldn't accept it. However, back then, there was no template. There was nothing before it. It's not an excuse, but I think it's a byproduct of some of the sloppy script writing was like, it's a fairy tale. So they weren't even thinking like, oh, it's a comic book movie. They're thinking like it's a fairy tale. And again, it's old school Hollywood. It is old school Hollywood. To so much that the way it looks, like it's a timeless film. But if you look at it now, you go, yeah, this is old school Hollywood. The way they've lit it, how much it's on sets, the special effects. Okay. Before we go forward, special effects. I know you had said to me one positive thing about this bloody movie, which I'm shocked at, is that you think it has the greatest special effect ever put to film.
It has the greatest in-camera special effect ever filmed. And by that, I mean something that they shot with a camera. They didn't have to do any work to afterwards. It was done. And it is the scene right after the terrible "can you read my mind" stuff, whenever Superman drops Lois off on the balcony, which, how is a reporter affording that apartment? I don't know. But she's talking to Superman. He's on the balcony talking to her. He turns around and flies away. And there's a knock at the door, and she turns around. It's one continuous camera shot. She turns around, goes to the door. There is Clark Kent. And it's... Now, here's the thing. I know what you're thinking. It's a double. No, it's not. Because it is obviously Christopher Reeves on the balcony, and it's obviously Christopher Reeves in the doorway. And I just remember watching that as a kid. It didn't even hit me the first time, but then I thought, wait a second. And I went back and I looked at it again. I was like, oh my gosh, how did they do that? And for the longest time, I didn't know. And then, I don't know if you guys follow Quarter Crew, but they're a special effects channel here on YouTube. And they break down special effects. And one of my favorite things they do is whenever they go to old Hollywood movies and say, how did they do this without all the technology? Well, here's how they did it. The Christopher Reeves that Lois is saying bye to on the balcony dressed as Superman is a projection screen. It's being projected onto that screen. So she is talking to a screen. Yeah. And then she turns around and Christopher Reeves, dressed as Clark, is waiting at the doorway. Y'all, that is so brilliantly simple. And they pulled it off in such an outstanding way that almost to me makes this movie worth watching, is that and many of the other flying special effects. The whole bit with the helicopter falling off the building, I think, is a wonderful, wonderful sequence, even though Superman catching Lois like that would have broken every bone in her body. That's fine. I can suspend disbelief. But yeah, there's some great sequences.
I've got you. You've got me. Who's got you? Which
should have been, it's okay, I've got you. She should have looked at him and like blood erupts from her mouth going, oh no, Lois, you shouldn't be smoking. It's bad for you.
To me, the scene that I think really captured my imagination for in-camera special effects, and it's all thanks to Christopher Reeve, because it's the moment where we see the reveal of Superman for the first time in the Fortress of Solitude, it's the shot where he flies, and then because, and it wasn't apparently pre-worked out, but the first time they did it, he baked.
Well, you know why, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so go ahead and tell him why. Tell him why he did that.
Well, as far as I'm not aware of that, it's because of comfort factor.
No.
Tell me
it's because
maybe I got it right.
Christopher Reeve was an experienced hang glider.
Yeah, sorry.
And so that was a natural movement for him. And to me, that actually makes the flying sequences feel more real because you feel like he is in control. You don't feel like he's just sitting there on a wire just going, oh. No, he's in control. He is flying. I do believe a man can fly.
Yes, and they're the two moments to me is that scene, and every time he landed with, he'd do the thing with his leg and lift it up, and I think that was trying to trigger the wire guys. Like, go. But yeah, I think those moments absolutely sell it because there are a few moments in this that don't quite hold up because of Mac technology and stuff like that. But where it counted, they were able to get it in camera, and it's
absolutely
pretty great. So yeah. So you would disagree with the second act. The second act's probably the strongest act of this whole
The second act is indeed the strongest act. That is Superman at his most Supermaniest. That is Christopher Reeve at his most Supermaniest. I enjoyed that second act.
The moment is pretty great, right? With these flying around, stopping the cat, even getting the cat out of the tree.
That's Superman. That's what Superman would do.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's great.
I adore that second act. I do. I know everybody's like, he just hates this movie. I don't hate this movie. I just don't think it's aged very well, and I think it has a lot of problems that nobody talks about. But the second act of this movie, I have very few problems with. I think that this is definitive Superman-ness.
Okay. Enter Act 3, which is really the introduction of Gene Hackman here, right? Now, you have an issue with Gene Hackman's performance. I think he's hilariously fun in this.
I don't have a problem with Gene Hackman's performance. I think he was very energetic, and I think it was very funny. My problem is with the writing of Lex Luthor, because it's very one-dimensional. Extremely one-dimensional. It's, as I said, I'm a criminal mastermind, land, blah, and that's it. That's all he is.
With you, never really gets a great storyline, and then in his roles, because he plays this 3 times.
Yeah.
This role 3 times, and they're never kind of great. In fact, this is the most dumbest idea for his reasoning that they used this idea twice.
They do. When the child molester plays Lex Luthor. Yeah. Well, it's the same thing.
And I know we can't say, and I know this is where I get cancelled.
Alleged.
I will say his performance, if I could separate the art from the man, it was a good idea to have Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor, was one of the strongest elements of that film. But we'll talk about that as we go.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree. Separating the performance from the scumbag that he is. Yeah, the scumbag did a good job.
He's been fed actually, and look, I think he did what he did, but he's not been found guilty on anything too. It's been clear.
He hasn't, but
yeah, like in London, every case what was clear, they found no. Anyway, you know what? Like, still.
Whenever
there's fire, and I tell you what happens with normal people that don't do those things? There's never any smoke around them.
Yeah.
99 times out of 100, if there's smoke around you, and even if there's some things you didn't do, it's highly likely you did do something.
I'm not going to get into it. Not until Superman Returns. I believe Anthony Rapp. Anthony Rapp.
Yeah, I'm not saying he didn't either. I'm not saying he didn't.
You don't apologize on social media if you didn't do anything. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, it's a very good point. And why would Anthony Rapp put himself under that situation?
Yeah. Did he need a career boost whenever he was headlining Star Trek at the time? Did he really need a hit? No.
his ace up his sleeve, isn't it? Because that's the thing you turn around and go, he had zero reason to bring that up now.
None. As a matter of fact, I think he ran a very big chance of being detrimental to his career, honestly.
They could have flipped on him.
They could have.
He didn't know. Paramount could have turned around and went, no, it's not about what happened. It's about the fact that you're bringing attention to now on social media.
Yep.
And thankfully, Paramount stood behind it. Either way, we are getting way off. Bring it back to Hackman and the crappy idea about literally breaking off California. And so he's got more real estate, more frontline real estate. It's dumb. It's silly. It's the only interesting thing about that plot, and they never really use it, and the whole plot should have just been him about trying to find out who is Superman. Because if you had stuck with the element of most of his time's just trying to find the kryptonite. And that's the storyline we focus on. Because you feel threatened by Superman, his whole task in that movie is to find the Rock and kill Superman. Yet I think that would have worked a lot better because those moments, to me, are kind of I like. We're seeing Lex Luthor having the Rock and seeing Superman at his weakest. And the fact that he has to be saved, which is kind of an interesting turn in it. But it's a real estate thing. It's really dumb. Really dumb.
Yeah. I was not a fan of Lex's motivation. Let's just say that the comic books and even some of the movies, even the animated series, have all come up with better motivations and better characterizations of Lex Luthor. And I guess that's it. Seeing this in retrospect, knowing what I know now, seeing what I've known now, you realize just how badly written this character was.
They were just doing unknown territory for the industry at that time.
And I get it.
And, they hit more than they miss on this. They really do.
But whenever they miss badly.
At crucial points. They miss at really crucial points, including the ending. And as we know, initially, it wasn't going to be about, I think the end of Superman was supposed to be the entrance of Zod. It was supposed to happen at the end of Superman 1. And we don't get that because, I don't know, they got chicken feet at the end. I know they sacked Donna, the director. But, Which is so weird because they spent so much time on him at the beginning of the movie.
I mean, bringing him back at the end, bringing him and Ursa and Non back at the end would have made so much sense and been like, oh, I want to see the sequel. That sounds awesome. No, it's just... Yeah, cliffhanger. Do a cliffhanger. I don't know.
Yeah.
And I know that the original plan was for one of the missiles that Lex fires off, that Superman was going to throw one of them into space, and that was what was going to release the criminals from the Phantom Zone. But I don't know. It doesn't. I just don't get it. I don't get why they had this golden goose in front of them and thought, nah, it's fine. Spin world backwards. We did good job. Yay.
Mm. You know what really surprised me this time after the 60th, 70th time of seeing it was how quickly this film wraps up.
Yeah.
Like, the moment he spins it backwards, next thing you know, he's in the upper atmosphere, fourth walling it, and we're out.
I don't care how corny that is. That is such an iconic shot. It's that just the smile is just... Christopher Reeve looked like Superman. He did. He just had the look down. And that smile as he flies by is always going to be Superman. I just remember watching Interview with a Vampire, of all things. And at one point, Louis is talking about he's using movies because it's the first time he's seen the sun in hundreds of years, going to the movies and seeing it. And he talks about first he sees it in silver and then black and white. And then whenever he says he saw it in color, guess what shot they use? Superman flying towards the sun.
Yeah.
That's how iconic it is.
Yeah. It is. It absolutely is. And it is undeniable, even though you have some distaste for this film, you do not question the cultural relevance of this film.
Absolutely not. I do not. I do not. This movie is important. I think that this movie should be watched by anybody who not only loves superheroes, who not only loves Superman, but for people who love cinema, because despite the fact that it does have some questionable decisions in it and some fairly terrible writing and acting, I do think that this movie is important and it should be treated as important. So, yes, I know I just threw a lot of smoke, so now I'm going to give it a gentle kiss on the forehead. Superman the movie is important. It is culturally important. And even though I am not a fan, I'm a fan of what it is.
What's the first domino, right? I mean,
yes,
it is. I don't think it's being overestimating the fact that without Superman and the success of that film, A, we don't get the sequels, but B, I don't think we get the comic book genre in the way that we've gotten it.
No, I think that if
Batman.
Yeah, I think that if this movie had not existed, or if this movie had been a disaster, we wouldn't have the MCU. We wouldn't have James Gunn's universe about to take off. We wouldn't have anything. Things would be a lot more boring. Would there be superhero movies? Probably. Probably. I don't think that they would be taken seriously, though. We'd have Batman and Robins and Blankmans. We wouldn't have, Captain America's The Winter Soldier. We wouldn't have Batman the Dark Knight. We wouldn't have these wonderful, serious superhero movies that are not only fun, but take the characters seriously and treat the fans like they're grown-ups.
Absolutely, without question. And I think it's the influence, not only that they existed and they made money so the studios wanted to make, but they informed a whole generation of directors.
Indeed, they did.
It is impossible to watch a really good superhero movie not being not being able to notice some of the things that they've been influenced by. Even so, and of course we can't talk about this movie. We're talking about the master and that soundtrack and that piece of music that literally says in music the word Superman.
Dun, 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 dun.
Superman. Like, it's amazing. Yeah. It is one of the... Geez, when you think about it, there's some pieces of music in your life that are so familiar but still sound so great. I think Superman's even better than the Star Wars opening theme. I think it's better. I think it's actually probably even better than Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
I think Superman theme is so iconic and probably 50% of the reason why this movie works.
I completely agree.
That is John Williams.
It is. And as you said, the opening sequence with the letters going whoosh, whoosh.
Oh,
you want to talk about something gets me excited even today.
Yeah.
I remember whenever I went and saw Superman Returns in theaters, and I know everybody's like, he's back on Superman Returns. This is just an example. When I went back and saw Superman Returns in theaters, and they did that in the opening sequence, I was just like, ah! Yeah. James Gunn, if you do that, I swear I will have your children.
Yeah. Well, he can't even get away.
Whether you like it or not.
I mean, he has to accept the fact that even in his movie, his fresh retelling, they're using bits of that music, even in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I really, I have my fingers and toes crossed that we're at least going to get a hint of the flying, Superman whoosh letters, and I will be super duper happy if that happens.
Yeah, me too. I think they got it. All right, they got to do it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now let's have a look. This movie had a huge budget when it was made.
Well, it was two movies at once, though, in its defense.
Two movies, $55 million it was to produce, which would be a $250, $300 million budget today. However, it made $55 million, but it ended up making $300 million, which made it beyond a hit. It's a cultural event. It's next level. So much so that, they had to get back to work, didn't they? And
yes, they did.
Finishing off Superman 2. But without its director.
Kind of an awkward workplace, yeah.
Bit of an uncomfortable
It's like scenario. Going back to your job at the restaurant knowing that the manager's been fired.
100%. 100%. But this thing, as we've discussed, it became one of the most important films for me growing up. It sat there. However, I wasn't ready for what was going to happen next, and I'm looking forward to talking about that on the next episode of the next part of this franchise,
Yes.
Superman 2.
I was going to say not the next episode, but yeah, the next part of the Superman retrospective will be Superman 2.
Now,
the first Superman movie I watched.
I think we're going to tell the audience too, because they're going to say something unless we address it next time we do it. We will also touch on the Donner cut when we talk about Superman 2. Have you seen the Donner cut, Jason?
I have never seen the Donner cut, but apparently I'm going to.
You are going to. We're going to
very well. I'm actually very curious about it. It's just never materialized time for me to watch it.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. Yes.
Yeah. So, but anyway, we'll get to Superman 2 next time on the VHS Vault in the franchise. But sorry, Jace, go ahead.
But before we do, my friend over there said some very mean, nasty things about a certain movie, and one of our Patreon called him out on it and said, "How dare you? How dare you besmirch this wonderful science fiction classic?" And so we're going to take a look at this wonderful science fiction classic that Tubbo over there doesn't like. And quite frankly, I don't remember very much about. I do remember the TV show because the TV show was awesome. But we're going to be taking a look at Stargate, another Emmerich movie. We're doing 2 Emmerich movies in 1 year? Oh my goodness, that is so exciting.
All I'll suggest is if you're going to go back and watch this, make sure you've got a big cup of coffee. That's all I'm going to say. All right, and we can get into the reasons why. This movie, I've always said this on the show. I've known to binge watch films and hate them the first time and have to go back and rewatch them and discover their magic films. Pulp Fiction and Fight Club are 2 films I didn't quite enjoy the first time I saw them. But I'm telling you, Stargate, that didn't happen. I've seen this thing 3 times. So.
We will see. We will see. And our Patreons will probably tear you limb from limb. And quite honestly, I can't wait to watch.
Yeah,
I'm like Doc Ock in Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, just going, it's going to hurt so much, and I can't wait to watch.
Well, until then, guys. You're gonna have to edit this, Jason.
Oh my gosh, we're ending worse than Superman the movie did.
Here we are.
Hold on. Let me run around the world and see if I can fix everything.
Hello, watchers. While I'm trying to save the end of this show, be sure to check out our Patreon and support this nonsense for as little as $5 a month.
I was ready to clean that up, too.
No, we're going to leave it just the way it is. That was awesome.
Next time on the VHS Vault, guys, yes, we're checking out Stargate. Then Superman 2. Lots of fun stuff coming down the pipeline. And we'll see you then, won't we, Jason?
Sure, why not?
It's your bloody channel.